If you spend any time in the world of performance or cognitive enhancement, you've definitely heard of Alpha-GPC. But what is it really? And does it actually live up to all the hype? Well, today, we're going to break it all down. You know that feeling, right? That midday crash when your brain just hits a wall and trying to focus feels, well, impossible. It's that super frustrating sense that you are just not firing on all cylinders. So a lot of people are looking for that edge, something to help them break through that wall. And today, we're going to focus on one of the most talked about options out there. This explainer is all about Alpha-GPC, a compound that people use for both mental and physical gains. Okay, so let's get right into it. To really understand what Alpha-GPC can do for you, we first have to get a handle on what it is and how it actually works inside your brain. First off, that full name is alpha-glycerol phosphorylcholine. Yeah, it's a mouthful, which is exactly why everybody just calls it Alpha-GPC. At its core, it's a special kind of choline, which is an essential nutrient your brain needs to function, something you'd normally get from foods like eggs. So here's the big idea, its core mission, if you will. Alpha-GPC gets into the brain and delivers the raw material to produce more acetylcholine. Now, think of acetylcholine as your brain's high-speed messenger service. It's the neurotransmitter that fires off signals between your nerve cells, making pretty much everything happen. And what kind of messages are we talking about? Oh, just some of the most important ones. Acetylcholine is absolutely fundamental for locking in new memories, for learning new things, for sharpening your focus, and, get this, for sending that critical command from your brain that tells your muscles to actually contract. Okay, so we've got the mechanism down. More building blocks means a better communication network in the brain. So now let's talk about the results. What are the tangible benefits that people are actually looking for when they take this? And this is where it gets really interesting because Alpha-GPC appeals to two very different crowds. On one side, you have the brain benefits, better memory, sharper focus, which is exactly why students and professionals love it for a mental edge. But then on the other side, because of that brain-muscle connection we just talked about, it's also super popular in gyms for potentially boosting power output and strength. All right, so you get the what and the why. Now it's time for the how. This next section is all about how to use Alpha-GPC safely and effectively, based on what we know from current research. When it comes to dosage, it really depends on your goal. For just general cognitive support, you're typically looking at a range of 300 to 600 milligrams a day. But for all you athletes out there looking to fire up that brain-to-muscle signal, the dose often goes higher, sometimes all the way up to 1,200 milligrams, but you'll want to split that up throughout the day. Now, if you're just starting out, the best way to do it is simple. Rule number one, and this is non-negotiable, start low. See how your body reacts. Timing is also really important. Take it in the morning or before a workout so it doesn't mess with your sleep. Oh, and if you've got a sensitive stomach, taking it with a meal is probably a good move. You'll also see that Alpha-GPC doesn't always fly solo. It's often part of a stack, which is just a fancy word for a combo of supplements. People frequently pair it with stuff like caffeine for that energy kick, L-theanine to take the edge off any jitters, and omega-3s for just good overall brain health. All right, we've covered all the potential upsides, which is great, but a complete picture means we absolutely have to look at safety and potential side effects. So let's move on to the all-important safety check. So look, for most healthy adults, Alpha-GPC is considered generally safe. But, and this is a big but, it's not without potential side effects. These usually pop up when people take a dose that's just too high for them personally. So what should you watch out for? Well, on one side, you have the more common stuff, which is usually mild. Think headaches or an upset stomach. But on the other side are less common but more significant effects, like ironically, brain fog, which can happen if your acetylcholine levels get too high, or even a drop in blood pressure. And it is super important to note that certain people need to be extra careful here. If you already have low blood pressure, if you're on certain medications for depression or other neurological conditions, have a history of heart issues, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, then this is a definite talk to your doctor first situation, please. Okay, so we've looked at how it works, the good stuff, how to use it, and the safety side of things. So let's distill all of that down into the final takeaway. So what's the bottom line here? The pro is clear. Alpha-GPC is a well-researched way to support brain function and even physical power. The con? Side effects are possible, and it is definitely not for everyone. The absolute key to figuring this out for yourself is simple. Start with a low dose and pay close attention to how you feel. And that leaves us with the final question, the one that only you can really answer. Now that you have this information, you can decide for yourself, based on your health, your goals, and your personal risk tolerance, is that potential boost really worth it for you? Thanks for joining this explainer.